I apologize for the background music. Neighbors are playing music, so I can't control the background noise. But this video tutorial that I'm making is in regards to Trump tariff wars. Trump wants to impose 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. He wants to impose an additional 10% on the existing tariffs on China. He wants to tariff the European Union, mainly Germany car industries, France, because of Macron and the Paris Accords is a thorn up Trump's ass when it comes to floating gasoline globally. So he wants to extort Europe and their sovereign coffers. He wants to extort Japan's car industries, South Korea car industries, because he wants to stagnate and force gasoline to stay as the number one transportation combustion engines throughout the world. He doesn't want the electric industries to advance. So he wants to tariff across the board the automobile industries. So what I will say to the European leaders, when Trump waves his magic wand of tariffs, what y'all need to do is call in the national debt of America. So you know how America prints treasury bills and sells it as security bonds to our foreign allies to hold our debt. So when Trump comes and extorts your sovereign coffers like a leprechaun trolling your coffers with tariff, like it's some type of magic wand for Trump trolling as a leprechaun troll that he is, then y'all call in the federal debt. If as allied nations y'all hold America treasury bills or IOUs, security bonds, then call in the American debt. When Trump tries to muscle our allies and extort our allies, all y'all have to say is deadbeat, pay your debt. So on top of meeting his tariff quotas, so if he imposes on our allies 10%, y'all impose 10%. And then on top of that, if he imposes 25% on our allies, tariff across the board, then y'all impose 25%. And then call in the American debt. Call in the IOUs of the Treasury Department. So our allies hold a lot of American debt in forms of treasury bills and security bonds that America owes $36 trillion of debt, federal debt. That's not counting our foreign debt obligations. America owes like $100 and some odd trillion foreign debts. Our federal debt is $36 trillion. And we sell a lot of that federal debt abroad to our allies so they can float us as a world sold superpower. But that's not including our foreign debt obligations, which numbers into the over $100 trillion of obligated foreign debt obligations. So America is a deadbeat, and Trump wants to extort his way out of it. Instead of being productive and just minding his business at home and creating jobs and factories to reindustrialize America, no, he wants to extort his way out of it by extorting our allies. Somehow, they got to pay up for our greed in the forms of tariff while Trump acts like a leprechaun troll, trolling our allies' sovereign coffers to extort them like some type of mobster for protection rackets. If you don't want something happening to your windows, you will pay us protection. NATO. Or, when it comes to the Eurozone members, he wants to extort them like they owe us something. So, for our allies, not only in Canada, Mexico, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, when Trump tries to impose tariffs on y'all, all you got to do is meet him with equal tariffs, and then on top of that, call in the federal American debt. Call in the federal debt. Drop like deadbeats the treasury bills, the security bonds, as IOUs and tell America under Trump to pay up. So you could teach Trump and the mega movement that they can't extort with the god of greed, or may I say, the Trump mania, with his little Trump Bible, better than the art of the deal is better than the Bible, when he descended down his golden escalators as the chosen one, if you will. That he has a version of the Bible with NFT pictures of himself, thinking that he's better than God. Or may I say, the art of the deal? He said the art of the deal is better than the Bible. So since he thinks so grand of himself, grandstanding on the world stage, and he wants to extort our allies for tribute, trolling their coffers, robbing them, looting them with tariffs. Let them know that this deadbeat movement of the Trump movement is bankrupt. It's not going to float or fly in the Western world. That as allied economic nations, y'all don't let yourselves be raped and pillaged and plundered by a predator that we call J. Donald Trump. So, I advise our economical allies, if Trump tries to weigh around his magic wand of tariffs to extort Canada, Mexico, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, if he tries to tariff y'all apply equal amount of tariff on American goods. But then on top of that, as nations and heads of states of our allied nations, call in America's federal debt obligations. The IOUs of the treasury bills and the security bonds that y'all bought into in order to prop up the greenback as the world reserve currency. Call in the debt on top of the tariffs that y'all will meet Trump equally at the table with. Teach him a lesson. Teach America that we can't be the gluttony of greed on the world stage. That we can't control the world with the world reserve currency and then want to extort the world for tribute on top of that. With a greed of gluttony under the Trump mania bouts of this delusional chief and commander that we called Trumpery. So as allies, don't let yourselves be extorted. Stick up for yourselves. Don't let your sovereign coffers be trolled. So our allies has to stop floating this deadbeat we call J. Donald Trump. If he wants to extort our allies and troll their coffers, like a troll leprechaun with his magic wand of tariff, then call in the deadbeat. Call in the deadbeat. Show him as allies that you're not willing to float America's greed anymore. If America suffers from a movement of gluttony, of greed, of the mega movement, as European members or allied economic members throughout America's sectors globally, if Trump imposes tariffs on y'all as nations, in economical partner nations, if Trump imposes tariffs on y'all, then y'all impose equal tariffs on Trump, or may I say America, under the Trump administration. Impose equal tariffs on Trump administration. And simultaneously call in the debt for this deadbeat and his movement to not try to float off extorting our allies for tribute. Because at the end of the day, America has $35 trillion of debt, federal debt. And our partners abroad hold treasury bills and security bonds, IOUs, of this deadbeat under the Republican Party that y'all call Trump. Y'all owe our allies IOUs and treasury bills, security bonds. So our allies need to start calling in the debt of this deadbeat movement that y'all call the Trump mega movement, with the obsession of extorting their way to success with tariff wars. So for that reason, not to mention international financial debt obligations of America is over 100 trillion globally. So, since a lot of our allies owe and float America's world reserve currency with IOUs of treasury bills, American treasury bills, and security bonds, then our allies have to bring an end to this gluttony that y'all call Trump mania in America. So as allies, when Trump tries to extort your nations with tariffs, trolling your coffers, call in the debt of this deadbeat movement. Show them that they can't be robber barons on the world stage when it comes to tariff being Trump's magic wand. So, what greedy abominations of gluttony of greed that is J. Donald Trump doesn't realize is that while he's trolling our allies to extort his way to success by trolling their sovereign coffers, our allies own a lot of America's IOUs. America is a deadbeat. And now with the helm of Trump, they want to extort their way to success. To make America rich, they want to extort our allies. So, since our allies own a lot of America's IOU debt, meaning America treasury bills, security bonds, America has a federal debt of $36 trillion federal debt. But globally, international debt, foreign debt, is over 100 trillion. And a lot of our allies globally bought into this debt with America by buying America's treasury bills, security bonds, as America IOUs. So America is the biggest deadbeat nation on earth. And they want to continue having revolver credit as deadbeats. And when I mean deadbeat, not in the credit sense, but in a reality sense, America's a deadbeat nation. We can't pay our debts, but we want to extort our way out of it. So, when Trump tries to tariff our allies should tariff him equally. And on top of that, call in your IOUs. Stop floating America as the world reserve currency. Call in the IOUs. Force America to pay up the IOUs. When y'all, as foreign nations abroad, have and own America treasury bills and security bonds, let Trump and America under the mega movement know that they got to pay up. That they can't be revolvers when it comes to Moody's. And when it comes to a physical sense, they can't be deadbeats. Because they definitely don't know how to pay on time. But when it comes to a physical sense, a character type of sense, they can't be deadbeats. They got to pay up. So, when he tries to extort Germany, France, Canada, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, say we'll meet you equally with your tariffs. If Trump imposes 25% tariff across the board to all your nations, y'all impose 25% tariffs on America. And on top of that, you tell Trump to pay up the federal debt and the global foreign debt. Because America is the biggest debtor on earth. But now under Trump, they think they can rob our allies to prosperity, to make us rich again, and make the world last while America first. So, as allied nations, teach this flunky trumpery of a fool that he can't extort y'all and F y'all for his own greed as America's robber baron. Let the allied nations know that they can't be sodomized by this trumpery fool we call J. Donald Trump and his mega madness movement, where his magic tariff leprechaun troll as the art of finance that he thought he learned at Warren School of Finance. He never paid attention to finance. He was too busy as a jock playing baseball, trying to get laid with cheerleaders, while his father paid for his certificate graduation. He had more growth spurs on his head by being hit with baseballs, and had to come up with a weird comb over to cover up the hollowness of his brains. Let alone, he thinks he's smarter than his uncle, because he was a physicist, his uncle. That means he has a brain somewhere in the whack-a-mole of a head. When you rattle it around, you can hear it shake inside hollow. So at the end of the day, allies, show this fool, show this clown, straighten him out. Show the conservative good old boy party that they can't F around our allies economically. So when Trump tries to extort y'all put him in his place. If all he could do is wave a troll magic wand of tariff, like that's the answer to everything, and he wants to rob America, and to America so rich again by robbing our allies. He's going to rob America to their success by extorting our allies' coffers. That's how he plans to make us so rich. Not to mention, Americans are going to start paying high prices because of his idiocies. His idiocies is going to make every American have to face hyperinflations because of his greed. Or may I say his abomination of greed. Or may I say the God of greed. Where his order to deal is better than the Bible. Where you can open up the Trump Bible and see NFT pictures of himself with a little bit of loose scriptures that are chosen by him. In his derangement, he's the chosen one. So, stop floating this fiat of the world reserve currency where Trump is the biggest deadbeat on the world stage. And he wants to be revolving credit with debt of tariffs, wars. Thinking that we're going to be so rich by extorting globally our global partners of nations that does economic trading with America. So, since Trump is the biggest extortionist on the world stage, when he inflicts tariffs on y'all inflict equal tariffs on America. And then on top of that, as sovereign nations globally holding America's debt, treasury bills, and security bonds, since that's your IOUs, present it to Trump and say, pay up your IOUs. Pay up your IOUs. So Trump will figure out how to pay the 35 trillion IOUs of federal debt. 36 trillion IOUs of federal debt. Not to mention global debt, which is more than 100 trillion of debt obligations, foreign American debt obligations, and pledges that America has pledged globally. Over 100 trillion of international debt obligations. Call those IOUs in. And let America know under this mega pendejo movement that they can extort the world to success themselves as robber barons on the world stage no more.